Hello and welcome back to Vintage Treasures, and today is yet another exciting Grail video. Now I've been doing pretty darn good with Grails. Uh, as you saw last week, I got a vintage 1991 Ninja Turtles, the mech suit version of the Krang Android body, or the Krang Android body, whatever you want to call it. If you haven't already and you're interested, go watch that after this video is over. But today we have yet another Grail and something I'm quite excited about personally, something I've been on the lookout since I started my Ghostbusters collection, and that of course is the ECTO-bomber. Now this vehicle here was quite late in the series, came out with the same year as the Slime Heroes, and came out the last year that figures were made. And this is, of course, a rarity nowadays, since it came out so late. And the reason they canceled the line is because there wasn't as much purchasing going on as there was back in the earlier days of the line. So when I saw this on eBay for a good deal, I had to snag it. By the way, I got this one. It wasn't even at an auction. It was a buy it now. I got this for a whopping $20, if you can believe that. And if you're a Ghostbusters collector, you likely know that complete in really good condition, so not necessarily mine exactly. They go for $150. Mine's worth more than $20. I mean, there's one on right now on eBay for $17 plus shipping, and it's just the yellowed body. No wings. I don't think it has the hook, and I don't think it has the gun either. So my point is, I got a good deal on this, and I'm very happy about it. So usually when you're looking on eBay and you see something and your expectations can be crushed, and you know, maybe you saw something and you have it in person and it doesn't look as good as you thought it did. I had the exact opposite happen to me. The body looked a lot more yellowed in the pictures than it does here in person. And the stickers are immaculate, as you can see here on this wing. Minus the printing error, obviously, because it's not centered. That thing is mint and looks like it was put on yesterday. And of course, we have some aging on some of the stickers. The windshield, especially, which I plan on replacing the worn stickers and keeping the old ones on there. But nonetheless, this thing was in great condition compared to what I thought it was. And while you can't really see the yellowing on camera, there is a tint of yellow on the cabin itself. So definitely something to consider, because I have seen several Ecto-bombers before. They are pretty rare. I mean, not extremely rare. They're not like Scratch the Cat or anything. But they are usually some version of yellowed or off-white. And depending on how badly you want it, compared to how immaculate you want your collection to be, that could be a big change in the amount you can get, and a big change in how much you're going to have to pay, because realistically, these things are pretty darn expensive. And if you're looking to get one, and you want to not spend $150, I think it's best to kind of compromise and get something that's more realistic for a smaller budget. Saying that, this toy is amazing. We got some play features, and we got some amazing stickers, but before we even get into that, I actually made a custom figure for this out of an original Egon Spengler figure, and it came out pretty good. Right here we have him, and if you notice, he's really white, and also his head's bobbly. The deal with that is when taking him apart, I had to cut his head off to get a pair of pliers in there, to open up his chest since it's not screwed or anything. And that meant I had to cut his head off. So it's a bit wobbly, but it works as a display piece. One thing I did want to mention is how nice this came out. That's the original emblem that was on his arm when he was an original figure. I put masking tape over it perfectly, spray painted it, and it somehow worked out. Yeah, that worked out pretty nicely. And as you can see here, he has some aviation glasses on. His midsection's based after a bomber jacket. So we have the fuzz around his neck and on his stomach. And obviously the colors of the ECTO-bomber with highlights of yellow, mostly white, some red, and some blue, dark blue. Also on the Ghost Sweeper and several other Ghostbusters vehicles. And then we have this lovely pattern of shapes on his legs. And both the arms and legs are ended in blue. And today I'm going to use him to show off the ECTO-bomber, since that's the vehicle that I made for him. The one I had in mind when creating this figure. By the way, these figures do fit in there, the originals. And they fit with their proton packs if you are interested in putting them in there with their proton packs on. So, you can see here, there's no steering wheel. Not that they usually could touch the steering wheels, because their arms were out pretty wide, and no articulation at the elbow, which was pretty unrealistic for the time anyway, means that they wouldn't be able to touch it anyway. Doesn't really bother me, but I love the way he looks in there. But enough of him. Let's look at this toy's play features. Now we have a propeller on the front. That's static unless you want to spin it, because it spins. But no buttons to activate it, no motor, no any of that. There is holes in the backs of the wings. That's for the Ghost, who, this vehicle's missing 3 parts. It's missing the Ghost and the bombs here. But the Ghost can put his hand in there, so he can be on the ECTO-bomber, and the bombs, obviously, for the ECTO-bomber. And then we have this cool top-mounting gun, and this has pretty good 360 swiveling. I mean, if you're not counting for the windshield. It spins around in a 360. And this can get broken off. I've seen it before. Personally, on mine, I didn't know this until I got it in the mail. The scope nub thingy is missing. I'm guessing you're supposed to use that to move it around, but I just touched the barrel. But yeah, definitely something to look out for, because I've seen several of them with the gun missing. And then you'll notice we have some type of switch or button here, and that has a metal wire connected to it, and that's connected to the claw. Now when the plane's flying, you can actually put the claw back there, so you can fly the plane. And when you're looking to nab those ghosts, let me grab one. We'll take the one from the ghost trap. And you can take the claw out, and by pressing that button backwards, you can hopefully grab the ghost. Depending on what ghost you use, it'll work better for some ghosts. And then you can fly away with the ghost. Which doesn't really make sense, because you can't really touch ghosts, so... Oh well, doesn't really matter. I wanted to mention that the wings and the tail bits as well, they yellow at a different rate than the body itself. And the red doesn't really yellow, because it's red. Only white does that. And Ghostbusters used a lot of white, and apparently on this one, 2 different plastics. I'm guessing this is a bit more flexible because they're the wings. But definitely a cool toy. I could see why kids wouldn't want this one. It is pretty boring. I mean, it looks absolutely great as a display piece, but as a toy, this thing's pretty boring. I mean, it has wheels that work. You can, like, land realistically, I guess. A propeller, I mean, the claw, the moving gun. But that's about it. And I did want to mention, I'll grab a Winston here. Take his proton pack off. You can stand figures on the wings, and that's their means of travel. I've seen mostly they put Janine on there. I think they did that on the box as well, but they stick on there pretty well because they're pegs. But don't stress their legs on the pegs because all the figures have different stances. So you could break the pegs or break the figures. Be careful with that. Really with any of the pegs. But overall, this toy is pretty cool. Can't wait to get the new stickers where they're needed and display this guy with the figure. That was a blast to make. I wish I could have documented it, but it just wasn't realistic because the process is, well, a process. If you enjoy Ghostbusters content and Ninja Turtle content and really Masters of the Universe, G.I. Joe, any vintage toy line that you had in your childhood, then subscribe to the channel. And I upload every Wednesday vintage toy content exclusively. And later on down the line, if you want to unsubscribe, it's free, and you could always do that. Enjoy the rest of your day or night, and goodbye.